Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. 94% is the accomplished percentage of the Mir'ah project, and the State Council praises the approaches of the Petroleum Development Oman Company in adopting new energy technologies. The Ministry of Education reveals details of the first edition of Oman Science Festival. And with the participation of 36 global partners, the International Travel Partnership Conference discusses in Muscat the role of tourism in economic development. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. The Sultanate strongly condemned the terrorist attacks which targeted a police truck in the city of Quetta, southwestern Pakistan, and led to a number of casualties. In its statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs renewed the Sultanate's solid and firm stance that rejects all forms of violence and terrorism, expressing the Sultanate's condolences to the victims and families and the government of Pakistan, and wishing the injured a speedy recovery. 94% is the accomplished percentage of the Mir'ah project, which is considered as the biggest project for solar energy in the world. The members of the State Council praised the approaches of Petroleum Development Oman Company in adopting new energy technologies, and this came during their visit to Mir'ah and the reed beds projects. The delegation was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfouz al-Mandari, Chairman of the State Council. Mir'ah, Arabic for mirror, will be a 1,021 megawatt solar thermal facility in the south of Oman, harnessing the sun's rays to produce steam. The steam will be used in thermal enhanced oil recovery to extract heavy and vicious oils at ML oil field. Reed beds project in the Nimr aims to treat water accompanied with the oil. It's the largest industrial constructed wetland system in the world. The Ministry of Education revealed in a press conference about the first edition of the Oman Science Festival, which will start on the 24th of the current month. More details in the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
The Ministry of Education held a press conference today about Oman Science Festival, which will be held over a period of 5 days from the 24th to the 28th of October. This festival signifies the Ministry's keenness to enhance interest in science as an important element in improving the economic and developmental value of the learning outcomes.
Oman Science Festival is an spring scientific event which is concerned to introduce science and technology and mathematics, which we call STEM education, to students in particular and all the communities, even the school student or even the colleges and university student and academics, all community.
In its first edition, the festival includes around 300 activities and programs targeting visitors of different ages and interests. These activities will be held in all governorates around the Sultanate throughout the festival's 5-day period. The festival will include an exhibition of students' innovations in the fields of natural science, mathematics, energy, transportation, engineering systems, robots, and environment. This will provide visitors an opportunity to learn more about the various disciplines of science. The festival aims at improving the general awareness of the public and students. It also aims at reinforcing their awareness of understanding science and its applications in real life. Further, it makes students and members of the society to have continuous access to science through an easy way that motivates their thinking and encourages them to understand the importance of science. For the Sultanate of Oman Television English News, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, Muscat.
36 partners from different world countries highlighted new techniques in tourism at the International Travel Partnership Conference held in Muscat. Here's a report.
The International Travel Partnership Conference discusses in Muscat the role of tourism in the economic progress, the challenges and obstacles facing world countries in this sector, in addition to exchanging expertise among participating travel corporates at the conference. 36 partners from different countries will highlight during the 3 days event the new techniques in the tourism business and will introduce potentials recognized by world countries besides mechanisms of promoting touristic destinations in those countries.
The Ubers and the Airbnbs are a big difference now in tourism because, for example, in my country we use that even in corporate travel, not only in leisure like it used to be. So we use Uber, for example, in our company to move around our city, and also when the companies have big projects, they don't book hotels. If they're staying for like at least 1 week, they'll probably book an Airbnb and not a hotel. So basically now we have Airbnbs everywhere in Portugal.
The importance of tourism industry has increased over the last years due to the various investment prospects this sector renders at various levels. In this context, the Sultanate pays significant attention to the Omani tourism strategy, which aims at tempting investments worth 19 billion Omani riyals and providing 500 job opportunity, besides attracting more than 5 million tourists during the current 5-year plan and upcoming plans.
Still to come in our news bulletin. A first-of-its-kind initiative is launched at the National Museum by installing the Braille system on the exhibits. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Kurdish Peshmerga forces took up new positions on the Erbil-Kirkuk road today, 3 days after they pulled out of Kirkuk in the wake of Iraqi advances. The road runs 4.8 kilometers south of Altun Kupri, a town halfway between Kirkuk and Erbil. The Iraqi army established its own positions further south. In the meantime, as Kurdish forces were withdrawing from Kirkuk, Iraqi federal forces moved into the disputed city and seized the oil fields and other infrastructures 3 years after Kurdish militias seized them in defense against the advancing Daesh groups. Iraq is OPEC's second largest oil producer, and its Kurdish-controlled areas are among the most productive in the country. Kirkuk has around 10% of the country's oil reserves. Baghdad is reportedly seeking to double Kirkuk's oil output to more than 1 million barrels per day and has requested Britain's major oil companies to help achieve this aim. A Kurdish female militia that took part in freeing the northern Syrian city of Raqqa from the Daesh group said it will continue this fight to liberate women living under the extremist group's brutal rule. Nisreen Abdullah of the Women's Protection Unit, or YPJ, said today in Raqqa's Al-Na'im, Arabic for Paradise Square, where Daesh fighters once carried out their public killings. She said the all-women force lost 30 members in the four-month battle, and Nisreen said the YPJ helped liberate dozens of Yazidi women from the militants. The Taliban have killed at least 58 Afghan soldiers in an attack that wiped out an army camp in the southern Kandahar province. A defense ministry official said today that the attack late yesterday involved 2 suicide car bombs and set off hours of fighting. He said 9 other soldiers were wounded and 6 have gone missing. 10 attackers were killed in the attack. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack in a media statement. British Prime Minister Theresa May said today that she wanted European Union leaders meeting in Brussels to set out ambitious plans for Brexit negotiations in the coming weeks. The 27 other EU leaders are due to decide whether there has been sufficient progress in the first stages of Brexit talks and if they can move on to discussing Britain's future trading relationship. But after 5 rounds of negotiations, there remains a deadlock, notably on the question of Britain's financial commitments, and the decision is expected to be delayed until the next EU summit in December. May is due to plead her case with her fellow leaders at a working dinner this evening before leaving them to make their decision without her tomorrow morning. May made a speech on Brexit in Florence last month, offering some concessions on the money and the rights of around 3 million European citizens living in Britain.
At the heart of the strong future partnership that we want to build together. Of course, we'll also
Back to some more local news. The Secretariat General of the Arab League hosted the annual celebration of the Arab Records Day under the theme 100 years since Balfour's Declaration and 50 years of Israeli occupation of Arab lands. The Sultanate participated in the celebration represented by the National Records and Archives Authority. The event stressed the importance of documents and records in supporting and affirming the Arab rights. It also shed light on Israel's aggressions such as settlements, Judaization, and seizure of Palestinian lands. On the sideline of the event, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Secretariat General of the Arab League and Jum'a al-Majid Center for Culture and Heritage in the United Arab Emirates on restoration of manuscripts. A book titled Libya and the Arab League, Samples of Selected Documents was also launched. Enhancing the social partnership between the government and private sector, contributing in serving development fields and developing the infrastructure in the governorate of Muscat. Muscat municipality signed an agreement with Bank Muscat to establish a park in the wilaya of Sib with all of its facilities. The agreement stated that the bank will establish the park, including children's play area with all its facilities, a football playgrounds, sports walkways, private corridors, coffee shops, toilets, supply and installation of irrigation systems for the park, and everything related to the horticulture work in addition to public car parkings for the park. The agreement stated also that Muscat municipality will provide the land of the park, the needed water for the park facilities and irrigation, in addition to implementing a showcase boards of project in the sites which will be agreed upon. The agreement was signed by His Excellency Engineer Mohsen bin Mohammed al-Sheikh, Chairman of Muscat municipality. A book containing 15 designs by small and medium enterprises has been launched during the Omani Heritage Night, which was held in Beit al-Zubair. The book contains Omani fashion designs for males and females and showcases the various types of traditional and modern attire worn by men and women in different governorates of Oman. SMEs, specialists in Omani fashion, traditional jewelries, graphics, and photography have portrayed Oman's unique designs in this book. A fashion show showcasing these designs was also held during the event. A new initiative, Rendered for the Blind, has been launched at the National Museum. It's the installment of Braille systems on the exhibit. Braille is a system of raised dots that can be read through touch by people who are blind or have low vision. Braille is used by thousands of people all over the world in their native languages and provides a means of literacy for all. With the participation of the GCC Associations for the Blind, Al-Noor Association for the Blind organized in the Governorate of Dakhiliya a forum on the World White Stick Day. The forum came to raise awareness among the individuals towards the blind people and consider them as a part of the community, as they have proven that despite the blindness, they are still an effective part of the community. The event stressed the blind people's rights to be involved and take part in the society. Standing on highlighted needs of urban development in the Governorate of Al-Wusta, the consultancy company presented visual shows about the stages of urban strategy projects in the Governorate. The implementing company of the project listened to a number of points discussed by the officials and specialists from various governmental and private sector institutions for the sectors which will be covered by this project. Coinciding with the Sultanate celebration of Omani Women's Day, the Sultan Qaboos Youth Center for Culture and Entertainment in the Governorate of Dhofar has conducted an evening to mark this event. Different activities and plays were performed on the stage of the center, besides a discussion session by women depicting challenges faced by women in different aspects and boosting the women's role in the society as a worker and a producer. Excelled women in different fields from a number of governorates of the Sultanate were honored at the end of the event by the chief guest, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Saeed Al Kilbani, Minister of Social Development. And now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of Ash-Sharqiyya and Wusta and the coastal areas of the Sea of Oman. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly, light to moderate, and the seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. 94% is the accomplished percentage of the Mir'ah project, and the State Council praises the approaches of the Petroleum Development Oman Company in adopting new energy technologies. The Ministry of Education reveals details of the first edition of Oman Science Festival. And with the participation of 36 global partners, the International Travel Partnership Conference discusses in Muscat the role of tourism in economic development. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.